sealed in a buoyant and protective packet, and delivered far and wide. It's a fine example of natural intelligence at work.
Paradise would not be paradise were it not for natural intelligence. The reason life is such a sensibly coordinated phenomenon is precisely because life is woven from natural intelligence. This is one of the things which psilocybin seems to make very clear. Biological science also reveals the intelligence within life, only most biologists tend to overlook it. What we call DNA can be said to represent natural intelligence in a compressed and encoded form. The natural intelligence within the DNA of this giant redwood tree pine cone, for example, is what can transform these small individual seeds into the largest trees on the planet. There is information in here on cell reproduction, differential cell function. There's information on how to build roots, shoots and protective bark. There's information on how to construct pine needles with their ability to photosynthesize. There's information on how to store and distribute energy for thousands of years, which is how long redwood trees can live for. There's information on how to fight off infections, information on how to transport water from the ground up to a distance of 250 feet or more, even information on how to make more of these pine cones. It's all very clever stuff. Some botanists will spend their entire careers learning about the biological wisdom accumulated by just this one species, and yet for some strange and peculiar reason natural intelligence remains completely and utterly unacknowledged by science.
On the other hand, we've all heard of artificial intelligence, clever robots, smart computer systems, that kind of thing. Yet natural intelligence is precisely the thing that artificial intelligence seeks to mimic. Organisms can be considered expressions of natural intelligence, wired together with protein and amino acids, just as a clever robot is an expression of artificial intelligence, wired together with silicon and copper wire. Take this ant, for example. Its complement of biologic, honed, refined and hardwired through millions of years of evolution, is palpably intelligent. Ants can metabolize, respire, reproduce, locate food, build communal nests and learn about new terrains. They can even communicate with one another in a chemical language. In other words, everything about their biological and behavioral makeup is sensible and intelligent to a certain degree. If this were not so, they would not be fit and would not exist. In a real way, ants, like other insects, are small sophisticated machines engineered by nature with the use of molecular DNA. Beetles, a fine and rightly acclaimed group, but still overlooked by those who are not of an entomological persuasion. Imagine that this beetle had been cunningly designed by a team of artificial intelligence engineers working at the prestigious Massachusetts Institute for Technology. It would be acclaimed by the world. The public would be deeply impressed by man's capacity to craft such a machine. And yet, since it is but a biological beetle constructed by nature, we don't give it a second glance. But if we look at insects as if for the first time, we see not mindless contraptions hacked together by chance, but intelligently built systems which, through the selective and sculpting power of nature, have evolved a kind of futuristic complexity. Flying is not to be sniffed at either. After all, it took our species more than 100,000 years to work out the aerodynamic equations necessary for heavier-than-air flight. Insects take to the air with ease. Bees are such consummate flyers that some species can attain speeds of 45 miles per hour. Weight for weight, they can produce the same power output as an aircraft piston engine and can fly 2 million miles per gallon of honey. Some insects can even walk on water. That is no small miracle by anyone's standards. It will be a long time before the artificial intelligence community can match this kind of engineering finesse. And as for dragonflies, well, their visual systems are so perfected that they can see through 360 degrees and somehow process all the information at once. It's another example of the natural intelligence encoded within the dragonfly genome. There are seemingly no limits to what natural intelligence can achieve in the biological domain. Before they metamorphosize, many insect larvae spin themselves cocoons fashioned from silk. In terms of weight, silk is stronger than steel. The spinneret mechanism within the larvae, through which protein molecules are carefully arranged so as to form and distribute silk, can only really be appreciated as an instance of natural intelligence. So too do the larvae's acrobatic talents indicate the intelligence hardwired into its DNA. Metamorphosis is remarkable. It demonstrates the sheer transformative power of DNA. To reorchestrate this precise arrangement of 1 billion cells into this precise arrangement. If one encounters a butterfly whilst under the influence of psilocybin, it can be an almost mythical event. Futuristic machines is an understatement, and yet conventional science teaches us that these organisms are no more than the outcome of a blind and utterly non-intelligent process. A disservice, I fear. Ingenious expressions of natural intelligence at least comes closer to the mark. Unfortunately, global warming is endangering these delicate miracles. 1/4 of Britain's native butterfly species, for instance, face extinction in the next 100 years due to warmer temperatures. Those species who inhabit mountainous regions are steadily moving higher to avoid increasing temperatures. Worldwide, the natural environment which supports such life is being steadily eroded. It's a shame that we do not perceive the real nature of the life forms which we inadvertently destroy. The plant kingdom is also worth a reappraisal. The entire web of life, ourselves included, depends upon a fundamental example of natural intelligence embodied by our botanical friends here, namely photosynthesis, the process through which sunlight is converted into metabolic energy. All plant species perform this feat regardless of what morphological form they take. Photosynthesis represents the tree of life's primary technology, a technology learned through evolution. As natural technologies go, photosynthesis is highly advanced. It is hard to get your head around what a photon of light actually is, let alone imagine how to capture one and borrow its energy. Yet plants do just this by making use of chlorophyll and an array of advanced nanotechnological machinery. Leaves are the structures which carry out photosynthesis. They are nature's solar panels, ensuring that the biosphere remains plugged in. Apart from performing photosynthesis, leaves can also serve as protection. The Venus flytrap has gone further and has evolved leaves which can capture and eat insects, a notion that was originally rejected by 19th century botanists as being far too outrageous to be true. Other plants, like the pitcher plant, have evolved jug-shaped leaves which fill with water and which can drown any insects gullible enough to venture inside. Like the Venus flytrap, the plant eventually consumes its insectile prey. It is somewhat odd, then, that we will not generally perceive a leaf as embodying intelligent design, whereas we clearly perceive intelligent design in a piece of litter. The young Charles Darwin had keen eyes. To view life and its evolution as a naturally intelligent process does not require us to abandon Darwin's great vision. With our growing knowledge of DNA and genetics, Darwin's work continues to be vindicated. However, how we interpret evolution is another matter. The chief virtue of psilocybin is that it reveals the intelligence and creativity at the heart of the evolutionary process which Darwin glimpsed. These days, no reasonable person can dismiss evolution out of hand. Take a close look at the flipper on this seal. There are finger bones underneath. This seal's